No pockets. I'll get dignified again here. Good afternoon, distinguished guests, cherished colleagues, graduates, and families. It's an honor to participate with you today in commencement, and I thank President Staben for the invitation to speak. Graduation is a time to reminisce about your college experience, celebrate your academic accomplishments, and think about your future. As a university community, we mark this occasion with a commencement, a solemn ceremony steeped in venerated traditions and symbols, such as the wearing of academic regalia, a mace, and a commencement speech, which I've been asked to provide today. I hope to accomplish three things in this address. The first is to be brief, the second is not to be too boring, and the third is to be brief. At an Idaho Falls commencement, a reporter asked a graduating student what they thought about the speaker. Their response was, "I didn't come here to listen to a commencement speaker, I came here to get my diploma. I know exactly where I stand in the scheme of things between you as graduates and your diploma." But I would ask that you please indulge me for a few minutes as I provide some thoughts about human energy, given that I am from the Center for Advanced Energy Studies, and the connection between brain power and muscle power. I've spent the last 10 years with the Center for Advanced Energy Studies, a collaboration involving the Idaho Research Universities, the Idaho National Laboratory, and recently the University of Wyoming. During this time, I have faithfully tracked all the energy that I've purchased myself, the electricity that I buy, the natural gas that heats my house, and the gasoline to operate my vehicles. I'm obsessed with minimizing the amount of energy that I consume and obtaining the maximum effectiveness for the energy that I do use. By doing this, I've come to more fully appreciate the difference that inexpensive energy has made in all of our lives. These include blessings such as the electric lights we have, telephones that we carry around in our pockets, the internet, refrigeration, air conditioning, rapid transportation, inexpensive food, and many, many other things that make our comfortable modern life and civilization possible. However, to truly appreciate the difference this makes, I'd like to spend a little bit of time talking about human energy and how limited it is, yet how expansive it is at the same time. Over the last several years, I've taken a passing interest in bicycle racing, particularly the Tour de France. I spend the month of July watching the 21 stages on television. During the 3 weeks of the tours, the riders will cover 3,500 kilometers of beautiful French and surrounding European scenery, with the winner completing the race with an average speed of about 40 kilometers per hour. That's about 26 miles an hour. And in fact, they ride uphill at about 21 miles an hour, which is faster than I can ride on flats, and I need to be going downhill to get anywhere close to that. The average power of these well-conditioned elite athletes is around 300 watts, the equivalent of 300-watt light bulbs. Over the full 3,500 kilometer distance of the tour, a rider, through his muscle power, will produce about 25 kilowatts of energy. This is an amount of energy that you can buy delivered to an outlet in your department or your house for about $2, or spread out over 21 stages, less than a dime a day. That's it. That's the energy output of a human being from muscle power. It's worth about a dime a day. Rather than muscle power now, let's consider for a moment another aspect of human energy, namely brain power. We're here today celebrating, among other things, accomplishments of brain power. The human brain uses about 10 watts. To put that in perspective, this is about the same amount of power that a nightlight uses, or that the holiday lights that we see outside on trees and buildings, about one of those. So if someone calls you a dim bulb, you should not take it as an insult, but as a remarkable accomplishment in the efficient use of energy. In contrast, if we look at some work by Quabena Bowen, a bioengineering faculty member at Stanford University, he suggests that a robot with a processing capacity and as smart as a human brain would require 10 million watts to operate at an energy cost of about $5,000 per day. Today's human energy economics of a dime a day for muscle power versus $5,000 a day for brain power suggests that investing in brain power, as you all have done today, is a good bet for life. However, to really recognize the true value and potential as a person, we need to understand that your muscle power and your brain power are connected, and that we as human beings are much more than biomechanical apparati that deliver different kinds of power. Your true value and potential is only realized by effectively coupling your brain power, that is your thoughts, your ideas, and your intentions, with your muscle power, which is your actions. And I'll just diverge for a minute here, is that over the last several decades, a very popular theme in science fiction has been the rise of machines and taking over and enslaving human beings. And one series in particular was looking at human beings as energy sources. At 10 watts a day, no reasonably intelligent machine would ever want to use a human being as an energy source. So, 25 years ago, I moved from southern Washington to the heart of potato country, Shelley, Idaho. Any russets here today? Okay. Although not a native Idahoan, I've lived in southern Idaho long enough to know the proper spelling of potato, S-P-U-D. Living in potato country, my sons all had opportunities to spend summers moving irrigation pipe and the falls working the spud harvest, jobs that relied on muscle power. The farmer that employed my sons was a perpetually red-faced man, looked like he got sunburned early in life and it never healed up. A living and breathing youth program who not only employed but taught boys. Although he expected the boys to be motivated and attentive to their respective assignment, he would often ride his motorcycle early in the morning to our home to pound on the door and remind the boys that the spuds weren't going to water themselves. And as much as it was to motivate the boys, I also think it was to motivate us as parents to make sure that they got up and got to work on time so we didn't have to have the 5:30 banging on our door. Despite his best efforts, teenage boys being teenage boys, they often engaged in on-job activities that had less than desirable outcomes. Their hijinks would lead to reprimands from the red-faced farmer that inevitably included the phrase, "What were you boys thinking?" Related in human energy terms, this would be, how did you use your brain power to actuate your muscle power? The response to this question typically was embarrassed boys looking at their feet, realizing that they were not thinking, that their brain power was not effectively used to direct their muscle power. How many of us today find ourselves like these boys, taking actions without thinking about their outcomes? What were you thinking is an important question for each of us and is the foundation of a purposeful life, because its answer connects our brain power to our muscle power, our intentions to our actions. Today we are celebrating the outcome of human energy, the integration of brain power and muscle power, graduation from the University of Idaho. Each of you enrolled in the university, engaged in prescribed courses of scholarship, spent hours in the library, the field, or the laboratory studying and working hard. You've completed the requirements for your degree programs. You all should be rightfully proud of what you've accomplished. I applaud you for your efforts. In completing your degree, you gave up or postponed opportunities to do other things. Recently, I saw a poster that said, "Hard work often pays off after time, but laziness always pays off now. Although this misguided turn of a phrase is intended to be humorous, there is wisdom here. The sacrifice that each of you made to attend college will provide dividends in the future, but only as you individually decide to more effectively connect your increased brain power to your muscle power, your intentions to your actions. So I propose to each of you the question asked by my spud farming neighbor. What were you thinking when you came to the University of Idaho? Although the answer to this question will be as varied as the individuals here today who are graduating, I expect that there will be common themes. I'll try to answer this question from the vantage point of someone who graduated 40 years ago. First, I expect the answer to the question, what were you thinking, is different now than it was at the beginning of your university experience. In fact, if what you were thinking was not challenged and refined by coming to the University of Idaho, you missed out one of the most significant transformations that can happen at college. Second, I hope, and I am confident, that during your time at the University of Idaho, you've learned how to critically think. You've come to realize that critical thinking and criticizing others is not the same thing. You can differentiate between opinions and evidence. You better appreciate diversity in all its forms and recognize that by understanding what makes each of us different, you realize how much we are all the same. You appreciate all that you have learned, yet recognize the limitations of your own understanding. You realize that your actions influence, for good or bad, not only yourself, but those around you, rippling out to the ends of the earth in subtle and complex ways. In short, you've come to understand the connections in human energy, the connection between brain power and your muscle power, the connection between your intentions and your actions, the energy connection that makes each of us truly human. As you leave the University of Idaho for the real world, and believe me, the real world isn't much different than the world we're in right here. This world is pulled by advertisers and the seldom right but never in doubt talking heads who tell us all the time what we should think. I would encourage each of you to deploy your human energies in ways that when asked the question, what were you thinking, you will not need to be embarrassed and look at your feet. Rather, because of your time at the University of Idaho, and because you better understand the connection between human energy, your brain power and your muscle power, between your intentions and your actions, you can answer, I am thinking and acting on those thoughts to make life better for me, my family, my community, and the world around me. In closing, I would like to add that when asked the question, what were you thinking, I hope that you might also answer, it's great to be a Vandal alumnus. Thank you very much.